Most people think heart attacks announce themselves. Chest pain, the left arm going numb, a dramatic collapse. That's what the movies show. That's what most people expect. But after the age of 60, some dangerous cardiac events can be far less obvious than people expect. Symptoms may be subtle, atypical, or even occur during sleep, which is why recognizing risk matters. And here is what shocks most of my patients when I tell them this in a recovery room. And what surprises many patients is how ordinary evening routines can influence blood pressure, sleep quality, metabolism, and overall cardiovascular strain. I've spent more than 20 years opening chests, repairing arteries, and holding hearts in my hands. I've also spent more than 20 years watching the same preventable patterns repeat themselves over and over in patients who had absolutely no idea what they were doing to themselves every single night. Tonight, I'm going to show you 5 of those patterns. If you're over 50 and want practical, evidence-based health education like this, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. 5 habits that may quietly increase cardiovascular strain while you sleep. Then I'll show you how to make your evenings more heart-friendly, one practical step at a time. Stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes may be the most important thing you hear this year. Here's something most people don't know. Your cardiovascular system doesn't take a break when you fall asleep. It simply shifts gears. In a healthy body, nighttime is when your blood pressure naturally falls, usually by about 10 to 20% compared with daytime levels. Your heart rate slows, your arteries relax. It's a biological reset, a form of maintenance your body has been performing throughout your entire life. But after the age of 60, that system becomes less reliable. Blood vessels become stiffer. Blood pressure regulation becomes less precise. Certain hormonal signals that once protected your heart during the night begin to weaken, and the margin for error becomes much, much smaller. Think of it this way. During the day, your cardiovascular system has backup mechanisms. It can compensate. It can adapt. At night, your autonomic nervous system, blood pressure, breathing, and circulation all shift into a different rhythm. And the transition toward morning deserves special attention because cardiovascular events show a well-documented early morning rise rather than a simple midnight to 6:00 peak. Now, here's the part that changes everything. What happens during those dangerous hours is largely determined by what you did before going to bed. The meal you ate, the medication you took or didn't take, the temperature in your bedroom. Decisions that felt completely routine. That's exactly what we're going to talk about, starting right now with the habit that surprises my patients the most. If you like having information like this organized in one place, I created the After 50 Health Savings Protocol. It's a 400-plus page illustrated digital guide covering 28 important health topics after 50, including understanding health numbers, preparing for doctor visits, organizing medications, making smarter grocery decisions, evaluating supplements, and building healthier long-term habits. It also includes the first week health organization plan, health expense tracker, doctor visit preparation workbook, smart grocery guide after 50, supplement decision checklist, and lifetime access. Better organization and fewer unnecessary purchases may help some readers avoid thousands of dollars in preventable health-related costs over time. The link is in the description below. Now, let's get back to the first habit. Let me ask you something. What time did you eat dinner last night? And what was on your plate? I ask every patient that question. Surprisingly, many people over 60 tell me they ate dinner around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, sometimes even 10 o'clock. A full meal, pasta, rice, meat, maybe something fried, followed by sitting on the couch and then going to bed within an hour or two. I understand why it happens. Busy days, family schedules, habits built over a lifetime. But from a cardiac perspective, this routine is quietly harming your heart. A heavy meal late at night is one of the most underestimated stresses your heart can experience. Here's what's happening inside your body. When you eat a large meal, your digestive system demands a tremendous increase in blood flow. Your heart has to pump harder. Your blood pressure rises. Triglycerides, the fats circulating in your bloodstream, rise sharply within 2 to 4 hours after eating. Now, Combine that with going to sleep. Your body expects the evening to be a period of winding down, not an all-hands cardiovascular emergency. Instead, your heart is working overtime to digest a large dinner while simultaneously trying to transition into its nighttime recovery mode. Those two demands directly compete with one another. And for someone over 60, with even a moderate degree of arterial stiffness, that conflict can have serious consequences. Late, heavy meals can worsen reflux, disrupt sleep, and create a larger post-meal metabolic load. Research on meal timing also suggests that consistently eating very late may be associated with less favorable cardiometabolic patterns, although one late dinner does not automatically trigger a heart attack. The solution is not complicated. Finish your main meal by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening, whenever possible. If you need to eat later, keep the meal light, focusing on lean protein and vegetables instead of heavy fatty foods. Does your dinner schedule resemble what I just described? You might be surprised by how many people answer yes without ever realizing it could affect their heart. Now, I need you to pay very close attention to this next point, because medication timing is easy to misunderstand. In my clinical experience, many people over 60 take medication for high blood pressure, and the most important rule is consistency. Blood pressure follows a daily rhythm, often rising toward morning and falling during sleep, but that pattern is not identical in everyone. Some people experience nocturnal hypertension or fail to show the usual nighttime dip. That can matter because uncontrolled blood pressure during sleep is associated with cardiovascular risk. But here is the crucial correction. You should not move your blood pressure medicine from morning to evening on your own. Earlier research suggested bedtime dosing might offer extra protection, but a large randomized trial called. Time found no meaningful difference in major cardiovascular outcomes between routine morning and evening dosing. So, what should you do? Take your medication exactly as prescribed and talk to your clinician if your readings remain high at night, if you feel dizzy after a dose, or if you frequently miss medication because of your schedule. In some cases, ambulatory blood pressure monitoring can reveal what is happening while you sleep. The best time to take a medication depends on the specific drug, your blood pressure pattern, side effects, other medicines, and your daily routine. That conversation may take only a few minutes, but it can help make your treatment safer and easier to follow. Never assume timing doesn't matter, but never assume bedtime is automatically better either. In cardiology, the right schedule is the one that is appropriate for you and that you can follow consistently. Now, I want you to think about someone you know who snores. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's one of your parents, or maybe it's you. That loud, irregular rumbling sound during the night. Most people dismiss it as an annoyance, something to joke about, something that earns an elbow from a partner in bed. I treat persistent loud snoring as a reason to ask more questions, especially when other symptoms are present. After more than 20 years in this field, I mean that literally. Sleep apnea is one of the most underdiagnosed and underestimated conditions I see in patients over 60. It is estimated that more than 30% of older adults have some form of sleep apnea. Yet, the vast majority have never been diagnosed or treated. They have absolutely no idea what it is doing to their heart every single night. Here's what actually happens during an episode of sleep apnea. You stop breathing for 10 seconds, 40 seconds, sometimes even longer. It may happen dozens of times every hour. Each time it happens, the oxygen level in your blood drops dramatically. Your brain detects a crisis and immediately activates a stress response. Adrenaline is released, cortisol rises, your heart rate suddenly accelerates, your blood pressure spikes. Your heart is essentially jolted awake while the rest of your body remains asleep. Night after night, year after year. Now, imagine that happening 30, 40, or even 50 times in a single night. What that does to your cardiovascular system is anything but subtle. Sleep apnea is strongly associated with cardiovascular disease, especially when it causes repeated oxygen drops and remains untreated. That connection alone should make you stop and think. It is also strongly linked to irregular heart rhythms, including atrial fibrillation, a condition that dramatically increases the risk of stroke. It accelerates the thickening and stiffening of the arterial walls, and because all of this happens while you're asleep, most people have absolutely no idea anything is wrong until a serious cardiac event occurs. The warning signs are not always obvious. Yes, loud snoring is one of them, but there are several others. Watch for waking up with morning headaches, feeling exhausted despite getting a full night's sleep, needing to urinate frequently during the night, waking up with a dry mouth, or waking with a sensation of choking or gasping for air. If any of those symptoms sound familiar, talk to your doctor about having a sleep study. Here's what I tell my patients directly. If you snore heavily, you're over 60, and you have heart disease, stroke history, daytime sleepiness, or witnessed breathing pauses, ask your doctor whether a sleep evaluation is appropriate. The treatment, most commonly a CPAP device, isn't glamorous. I know that. CPAP can improve breathing and daytime symptoms, and it can modestly lower blood pressure in some patients. Its effect on major cardiovascular events is more mixed, which is why diagnosis, treatment choice, and consistent use should be individualized. One device can still make an enormous difference in sleep quality and breathing when it is the right treatment. Does anyone in your household snore? Has anyone ever told you that you stop breathing while you're asleep? Think carefully before you move on from this one. If this surprised you, like the video and share it with someone who snores. And tell me in the comments. Have you ever been evaluated for sleep apnea? Now, let's talk about another habit that is driven by perfectly logical thinking, and that's exactly why it's so easy to overlook. Many people over the age of 60 intentionally reduce how much they drink in the evening. The reason makes complete sense. They want to avoid waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to use the bathroom. Interrupted sleep is frustrating, and getting out of bed at night can increase fall risk. So, some people stop drinking fluids after dinner, sometimes even much earlier. I completely understand the reasoning. But older adults can become dehydrated more easily because thirst signals, kidney function, medications, and fluid balance change with age. Significant dehydration can lower blood volume and make the cardiovascular system work harder. The answer, however, is not to force a large glass of water immediately before bed. That can worsen nighttime urination, and people with heart failure, kidney disease, or fluid restrictions may need very different advice. A better strategy is to hydrate steadily during the daytime and early evening, then adjust later fluids based on thirst, medications, medical conditions, and your doctor's guidance. Check the simple clues. Very dark urine, persistent dry mouth, dizziness when standing, unusual weakness, or strong thirst can all deserve attention. If you regularly wake thirsty, review your daytime fluid intake instead of trying to catch up at bedtime. The goal is balance, not a rigid 8-ounce rule. That small distinction makes this advice safer and more useful. Now, here's another habit that surprises almost every patient when I mention it because it sounds almost too simple to make a difference. What temperature is your bedroom at night? Most people have never considered that question from the perspective of heart health. They think about comfort. They think about personal preference. But temperature can influence sleep quality, blood vessel tone, sweating, and how comfortable your body remains overnight. Let's start with a bedroom that's too warm. When the temperature rises above approximately 22 degrees C, or about 72 degrees F, your body has to work continuously throughout the night to release excess heat. Your blood vessels dilate, your heart rate remains elevated, you sweat more, which increases fluid loss and brings us right back to the dehydration problem we just discussed. Perhaps even more importantly, your sleep quality declines. You spend less time in the deep restorative stages of sleep, the stages during which your heart performs its most important overnight recovery and repair. Now, let's look at the opposite extreme. A bedroom that is genuinely too cold, below approximately 16 to 17 degrees C, creates a completely different kind of cardiovascular stress. Cold temperatures cause vasoconstriction. Your blood vessels constrict to preserve your body's core temperature. As they tighten, your blood pressure rises. Your heart has to pump against greater resistance. For someone already living with coronary artery disease or high blood pressure, that increase in nighttime blood pressure is far from insignificant. For many adults, a comfortably cool bedroom somewhere around 18 to 22 degrees Celsius, or 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit supports sleep without excessive heat. There is no single perfect temperature for every person, so use comfort, medical needs, and safe indoor conditions as your guide. One simple thermostat adjustment can support better sleep. Before I put all 5 habits into one simple evening routine, tell me which one surprised you most. If this information is useful, like the video and send it to someone over 50 who would benefit from hearing it. Everything I've described so far may sound like a long list of things to worry about, but I want you to look at it differently. When you put all 5 habits together, what you actually have is a practical blueprint for protecting your heart every evening. I call it the heart-safe evening routine. It fits easily into everyday life without requiring dramatic lifestyle changes. Here's what it looks like. Between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening, eat your main meal. Choose lean protein, vegetables, and a moderate serving of carbohydrates if you need them. Not an enormous feast, not skipping dinner, just a balanced meal at a reasonable hour. That gives your heart 3 to 4 hours to finish the work of digestion before you go to sleep. Around 7 o'clock, think about hydration and medication consistency. If your doctor has not discussed when your blood pressure medicine should be taken, let this remind you to ask. Do not change the schedule yourself. The best timing depends on the medication and your individual blood pressure pattern. Between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, enter your wind down period. Take a gentle walk, read a book, have a calm conversation. This is also the time to step away from screens, especially the bright screens of smartphones, which suppress melatonin production and keep your nervous system alert much longer than it should be before bedtime. By 9 o'clock, prepare your bedroom. Adjust the thermostat. Open a window for a few minutes if necessary. If you tend to wake thirsty and have no fluid restriction, keep a small glass nearby. These tasks take less than 90 seconds, but they can support a calmer routine. By 10 o'clock, you should be in bed. And here's one final detail that costs absolutely nothing. If you snore, or if someone has told you that you stop breathing while you sleep, try sleeping on your side instead of your back. Sleeping on your back can dramatically worsen airway obstruction. Simply changing your sleeping position can significantly reduce episodes of sleep apnea while you arrange for a formal medical evaluation. Dinner at a reasonable hour, medications on the prescribed schedule, steady daytime hydration, a calm evening, and a comfortable bedroom. If snoring worsens on your back, side sleeping may also help some people while they arrange an evaluation. The point is not perfection. It is reducing avoidable strain and improving sleep habits consistently. The real question is whether you will actually follow it. And that's a question only you can answer. Now, I'd like to speak to you honestly for a moment, not as a content creator, but as a surgeon. I have stood beside an operating table at 3 o'clock in the morning holding a heart that had stopped because a blood clot formed overnight inside a narrowed coronary artery. I've spoken with families sitting in hospital waiting rooms at dawn. Families who had no idea anything was wrong when they wished their loved one good night just a few hours earlier. I have read autopsy reports on people who had been planning their grandchildren's birthday parties only a week before. And in case after case, the contributing factors were often familiar. Uncontrolled blood pressure, missed medication, poor sleep, untreated breathing problems, smoking, diabetes, or long-standing vascular disease. Evening habits matter, but they are one part of the larger cardiovascular picture. These are not rare or exotic risk factors. They are simply the background noise of millions of ordinary evenings. But that background noise, repeated night after night, year after year, can eventually become the heart attack that no one saw coming because no one knew where to look. Here's the greatest lesson more than 20 years in the operating room has taught me. Most of the hearts I've had to repair did not fail because of bad luck. They failed because of missing information. Information the patient simply never received. Now you have that information. The question is what you'll do with it tonight. Not next week, not after your next medical appointment, tonight. So let's bring everything together. 5 habits, 5 solutions. I want you to leave this video with a clear action plan, not simply a vague sense of concern. First, finish your main meal by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening. No extreme diet, just a sensible dinner at a sensible hour. Second, take your blood pressure medication consistently and ask your doctor whether your current timing is appropriate. Do not switch it to bedtime without guidance. Third, if you snore, wake up feeling exhausted, or if anyone has ever told you that you stop breathing while sleeping, get evaluated for sleep apnea. After 60, especially with heart disease or daytime sleepiness, it deserves a serious conversation with your doctor. Fourth, stay adequately hydrated across the day instead of trying to catch up at bedtime. If you have heart or kidney disease, follow your clinician's fluid guidance. Fifth, keep your bedroom comfortably cool, often around 18 to 22 degrees Celsius or 65 to 72 Fahrenheit, if that feels comfortable and safe. Now, I'd like to ask you something directly, and I genuinely appreciate your answer in the comments below. Which of these 5 habits do you recognize in yourself? I have a feeling at least 2 or 3 probably sound familiar. And if they do, you're certainly not alone. The difference is that now you know what questions to ask and what small changes may be worth discussing with your healthcare team. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications for more practical, evidence-based health education for adults over 50. Like this video, share it with a friend or family member, and tell me in the comments what health topic you want me to cover next. And if you want the next step organized for you, the complete After 50 Health Savings Protocol is available through the link in the description. It includes a 400-plus page illustrated guide covering 28 important health topics after 50, plus the first week health organization plan, health expense tracker, doctor visit preparation workbook, smart grocery guide after 50, supplement decision checklist, and lifetime access. It is designed to help you become more informed, organized, confident, and better prepared to make everyday health decisions. By reducing duplicate supplement purchases, improving grocery choices, preparing better for appointments, and avoiding preventable spending mistakes, some adults may potentially save between $4,000 and $6,000 over time. That is not a medical promise or a substitute for professional care. It is an educational system designed to help you ask better questions and make more thoughtful decisions. Everything I've shared today is general medical information, not personalized medical advice. Before changing any medication schedule, fluid intake plan, or treatment, speak with your own healthcare professional, especially if you have heart disease, kidney disease, diabetes, or take multiple medications. Invest in knowledge today so you can make more confident, informed, and cost-conscious health decisions in the years ahead. Take care of your heart. It has been working faithfully for you every minute of every day and every night throughout your life. Give it the conditions it needs to keep working for many more years. Good night, sleep well, and starting tonight, take good care of yourself.